Good morning kids. Today we are going to discuss about discriminant of a quadratic polynomial. So today's topic is discriminant of quadratic polynomial. So far we have discussed what are the different terminology associated with polynomial. What is quadratic polynomial? We know that. So today we are going to discuss about this term, that is discriminant. So for any quadratic polynomial, represented by P of x equal to ax square plus bx plus c. So this is my general representation of a quadratic polynomial. So this is general representation of quadratic polynomial. If this is my quadratic polynomial, the discriminant, its discriminant is calculated by d is equals to b square minus 4ac. d is equals to b square minus 4ac. Now, what are the properties? So, I can say case 1, if d is greater than 0, if d is greater than 0. We are talking about the graphs only. We have discussed about the graph of polynomial. So now again we are talking about the graph only. Then graph of px. Obviously if it is a quadratic, it will be a parabola. But what about the parabola? If d is greater than 0, the parabola will intersect exactly 2 points. The parabola will intersect exactly 2 points. So, on x-axis, this is my p of x. So, it can be like this or it can be like this. For d greater than 0, we are going to get exactly 2 points at x-axis. We are going to get 2 distinct points. The graph of p equal to ax square plus bx plus c will have 2 distinct points at x-axis, and these points are also known as zeros, and these points are also known as zeros of p of x. Okay, so when my d is greater than 0, that means we are going to have a distinct solution. We are going to have a distinct solution. That means the graph will intersect the x-axis at 2 distinct points, and those points are also known as zeros of p of x. Case 2. If D is equals to 0. If D is equals to 0, what about the graph? Look at here. So this is my or at D equal to 0, it will touch the x-axis at only one point. It will touch x-axis at only one point. So the graph will touch x-axis at only one point. What does it mean? That the zeros are same. The zeros are same, isn't it? That means the solution for this is equal. That means zeros have same value or equal solution. Okay. Case 1 when D is greater than 0. Case 2 when D is less than 0. My next case will be case 3 when D is less than 0. When D is less than 0. The graph, how is my graph? The graph will be like this. This is my x. This is px, or the graph will be like this. That means the graph will neither touch nor intersect. Here we can clearly see that this graph of P of x, this is graph of P of x, is not touching the x-axis. That means there is no solution. That means there is no solution. Or no zeros are there, or zeros are imaginary. Okay. So currently we are not discussing about property of zero. That we will discuss in the next section. Now next thing what we are going to discuss is relationship. Next we are going to discuss about relationship between the zeros and the coefficient of polynomial. Case 1. Case 1, if my polynomial is linear, that means for linear polynomial, or I can say for linear equation, linear polynomial or linear equation. So what is the format for linear equation? P of x is equals to ax plus b. So this is my format of linear equation where a is not equal to 0. Let alpha be, so the degree is 1. So how many zeros are there? 1. Degree is 1. So number of zeros is 1. Let that 0 is alpha. Then how we can define alpha? So alpha is nothing but coefficient of constant term by coefficient of x. Coefficient of x and a minus sign will be there, and constant term, or I can write it as alpha equal to minus b by a. So this is for linear polynomial. Case 2, for quadratic polynomial or quadratic equation. For quadratic equation, my format for general format for quadratic equation is ax square plus bx plus c, where a and b not equal to 0. Then what about the degree? Degree is 2. So number of zeros will be 2. Let alpha and beta are the zeros. Then what is the relation between alpha and ABC and beta and ABC? I can write it as sum of zeros is equals to minus coefficient of x by coefficient of x square, or I can write it as alpha plus beta equal to minus b by a. Coefficient of x is b and coefficient of x square is a. Similarly, product of zeros is equals to constant by coefficient of x square, or I can write alpha beta equal to c by a. Okay, so we have discussed the two cases for linear equation and for quadratic polynomial. Case 3 for cubic polynomial. Case 3 for cubic polynomial. So for cubic polynomial, my general expression for cubic polynomial is nothing but p of x is equals to ax cube plus bx square plus cx plus d, where a, b, c are not equal to 0. Where a, b, c are or the necessary condition is a is not equal to 0. We are assuming for the time being that this is a full cubic polynomial where all the terms are present. See, for any cubic polynomial, the degree should be 3. But here I am taking that my a, b, c are not equal to 0 because I want to take a ideal case for cubic polynomial. But for any polynomial being cubic, the necessary condition is the coefficient of x cube should not be equal to 0. So necessary condition for cubic polynomial is coefficient of x cube should not be 0. Okay, should not be 0. That is a not equal to 0. For example, I can say x 4xq is also a cubic polynomial. Okay, now let us proceed forward. So my cubic polynomial is given px equal to axq plus bx square plus cx plus d. This is my general format for writing a cubic polynomial. Now, if it is cubic, that means degree is 3. Number of zeros will be 3. Then let alpha, beta and gamma, alpha, beta and gamma be the zeros of p of x. Then sum of zeros is equals to minus coefficient of x square by coefficient of xq, or I can write alpha plus beta plus gamma is equals to minus coefficient of x square is b, coefficient of xq is a, so minus b by a. Product of zeros is nothing but constant term divided by coefficient of xq. Here also minus sign is introduced. So alpha, beta, gamma equal to constant is d and a. Now we have found out a, b, d. The relationship between d and a, alpha, beta, gamma, b and a, alpha, beta, gamma. What we have not found out about c. So what about c? So c is nothing but, if we find out sum of product of two zeros, sum of product of two zeros then what will be my value? Coefficient of c is coefficient of x by coefficient of xq. So the value will be alpha beta, beta gamma plus alpha gamma is equals to c by a. Now I would like to say that whenever we are talking about relationship between coefficient and zero, we always start with minus plus minus plus. So when I was talking about linear, it was minus b by a, that is, and the denominator part will be always the coefficient of the highest degree. Okay, this is cubic, so coefficient of x cube. When it was quadratic, coefficient of x square. When it was linear, coefficient of x. Now we will discuss some of the problem based on relationship between polynomials, a coefficient and so there are two questions. First is, if one zero of quadratic polynomial is 6, then find the other zero. So how to solve? What is given? We are having px equal to x square minus 5x minus 6. Let root or zeros are alpha, beta. So alpha is equals to 6. We need to find out beta. Now, and also alpha plus beta is 6. So these things are given. sorry, alpha plus beta we need to find. Alpha is given 6. So what we can do to find beta? We can utilize sum of zeros is nothing but minus coefficient of x by coefficient of x square. The value is minus, coefficient of x is minus 5. Coefficient of x square is 1. And sum is alpha plus beta. And alpha is 6. 6 plus beta equal to minus plus 5. Or beta equal to 5 minus 6 equal to minus 1. So the other 0 is minus 1. Again, in this question, we are given if the sum of zeros is 3. So, sum is given. We need to find out the value of k. So, what is given? Px is equals to 3x square minus kx plus 6. And alpha plus beta is equals to 3. Or sum of zeros is 3. We need to find out this k. So we know sum of zeros is nothing but minus of coefficient of x by coefficient of x square. Sum is given 3 is equals to coefficient of x is minus k. Coefficient of x square is 3. So k is equals to 3 into 3, that is 9. Okay, next questions we can discuss.